computer. So yeah, Ian and Carla here from the LA Tri Club, and we're going to go into a lot of detail on the Oceanside event that's coming up in a few weeks. And if you're racing Oceanside, great. This is going to be very specific to you. If you're racing 70.3 in the future and you kind of want to get, because the shape of these races is all the same, the scheduling, the important logistical aspects of it. So we're going to go deep into that. And we're going to have this posted up on the LA Track Club YouTube channel so people can come back and see it in the future. So, Carla, kick it off.
All right. So if I can just get a show of hands, is anyone not doing Oceanside 70.3 and they are here just to check out what we have to say? No show of hands. Okay, good. So when 78.3 Ironman will generally put their athlete guide out a little on the late side. So we wanted to get a jump on things this time. Often we do these calls about 10 days out from race day. And we want this call to be a little bit different so that
I
once
don't know
you
if I'm muted.
You're up right now, but I can take care of that, Ricky. Okay, go ahead.
um, after we show you what to expect on race day, we're going to give you some logistical things to be thinking about in terms of your training. Not just in terms of what you should be doing in training, but I'm going to give you some mental things to focus on as well. And I'm going to kind of wrap up the conversation with some of that. A lot of you who are on the call today are performance members. Ian and I have about 30 performance members that we coach together. And we do a team call every Monday night. And it's a different subject each week. And I got a lot of good feedback and a lot of engagement on the call where I focused on this mindset thing yesterday. So I'm going to bring that in towards the end of this call. I would like to start with what to do the couple of days before the race. Um, the Athlete Village is set up the same way every year. Ian, can you give us a shot of where Athlete Village is so we
Yeah,
can talk about that logistically?
I sure.
A lot of people are staying downtown. There are hotels that are in the harbor as well. They do have shuttles set up for before race day and race day that'll be running throughout to give both the athletes and their guests access to the start of the race and the end of the race. But know that this area is only about a mile. So if you're thinking, hey, race morning, maybe I'd like to just have a little headspace. I don't feel like I need to take the shuttle. I don't want to be around a lot of people. I just want to like put my headphones on, listen to something soothing, and make my way to transition. I would say that that would be totally appropriate because it's going to be a coolish morning and you're going to want to be dressing up warm. And we'll talk a bit about that when we get a little further into the conversation. But just know that this whole area, you don't have to, you're not covering that much distance. So between pre-race stuff and post-race stuff, kind of encourage you to like get on your feet a little bit and get some movement in on those days.
Just showing here that this red dot right here at the end of the pier is the Junior Seau Beach Community Center, which is basically the expo. And if we then took a look down here at the sort of the end of the harbor area where transition is, that is about 1 mile. That walk right there is about a mile. So that's the stretch of the build out of the infrastructure of this race. Transition areas down here in the harbor at the top of the screen, and the Oceanside pier is down here at the bottom. That's the finish line. That's the registration, the expo, that kind of thing. So those are your distances right there.
Okay. So Ian, I'm sorry, was that the packet pickup area that you just showed us?
Yeah, the Junior Seau Community Center is where the athlete briefing is, packet pickup, the whole expo zone right in there.
Very good. All right. So, based on some of the logistics that we had from last year, or all the previous years, some things to keep in mind is that is athlete check-in on Thursday and Friday. Because this is a local race, most of you, I believe, will probably be showing up at some point on Friday. Things to know is that you must pick up by 5 p.m. on Friday. Give yourself the whole day. Like if you're going to drive down on Friday, get up crack of dawn and get moving. Um, Expect lines. You need your photo ID, you need your registration QR code. There are also athlete briefings, which are not optional. Yes, you can get away with not going to them. They're not like marking your hand to make sure you showed up, but there is going to be information that's going to be shared with you at those briefings that are not in the athlete guide. So, and it's also an opportunity to ask questions. So do make sure that you look at that schedule because they're like two or three, both on Thursday and Friday. They're not like every hour. So make time to make sure that you get in those athlete briefings. It works pretty well to show up to registration, do the athlete briefing. Now you've got your packet. Now you can like add all your labels to your bike and drop that off afterwards. So then
I
there's
want to
drop.
expand on that too because packet pickup closes at 5 on Friday. The bike drop off closes then at 5:30.
Five,
And
5:30.
if you
Yeah.
don't get your bike in at 5:30, you're not racing. So don't put yourself in the position where you're stressed out the day before the race. It's not worth it. Get there early, spend some time, get your bracelet, your race bracelet on, and really take your time in getting organized so you're not putting in extra stress on that day before the race.
Oh, and then just a note, you can't park over by transition. So if you drop your bike, expect to walk your bike over to the transition
Yep.
area
Yep.
too.
And my
Okay,
make
I had questions about this part because um as I think about like, okay, what's in my, the transition bags and, bringing the bike to the transition, I was trying to figure out, okay, what's the most efficient way to do everything with minimizing all the back and forth between like packet pickup and transition. So what do you guys recommend? Because I've also read things on Reddit where like people are driving to transition and then biking to get their packet pickup or their packet and then biking back to transition and leaving their bike. And there's like so many different ways people are doing it. And I'm
Yeah,
just
what
like kind of
what we
confused.
recommend is this. On Friday, park on the street. There's on-street parking that's just a few blocks away from the registration area. And
Okay.
go down to registration without your bike. Take your photo ID, make sure you're organized. Take your photo ID, make sure you got it together. You've also got to have your QR code. You get down there, you can go through the whole registration process, do your packet pickup. And then when you walk back to your car, take some time there to get everything set up. And then what I would say, and this is important, is put your helmet on and buckle it. And in your, everyday shoes, your running shoes, whatever you're wearing, then ride your bike to transition, rack it, leave it, and take your helmet off and carry it under your arm as you walk, what, 3/4 of a mile, maybe back to your car. And then
Got it.
that reduces your walk mileage on the day. And it just makes it simpler to just park your car once, somewhere in between the transition area and the expo, and just ride the bike over there with your helmet buckled on, just so that you don't get hassled by a USAT official. You should always have your helmet on and buckled when you're on the bike. And
Got it.
I have
Got it.
Dan,
seen
don't you
athletes get
always say
DQ'd
we
the day
should
before the
do a
race.
brick though on Friday before
Yes,
the
but that
race?
would happen. That would happen separate from this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What Mai's talking about is Carla and I, with our performance athletes, really like to have them do a mini brick the day before the race. Generally, we have a rest day 2 days before the race and then do a mini brick the day before the race. Sometimes it's 40 minutes long. There's no more than 3 or 4 minutes of intensity in the thing, but it's really to make sure you're awake and alive. And you would do that separately, maybe even in the morning before we get into
Packet pickup
this
part.
packet.
Got it.
It can be very busy, so minimize your walk time there.
And I actually have a suggestion for that brick portion is that I can't exactly remember where it is, but like maybe it's mile one is where the first little hill is. It's not little, it's short, but it's steep. So that'll give you an idea of what that's going to feel like when you're cold getting out of the water and that first little bit of exertion that it's going to take to get up a little hill. And I'd help you identify what gear you want to put your bike in when you rack it in transition.
Great point.
Okay. You're going to be given one of the bags that you're going to be given is a post-race clothing bag. And that is something that you're going to want to take with you on race morning. You're going to want to really bundle up. Here are some things that I would have if I were doing this race. This is what I would have with me. I would have a pair of slip-on sandals that I don't care if I have to throw away. If that means I'm going to a thrift store the week before the race to buy those, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a thick pair of socks that I can wear with those sandals. I'm going to have a hat on my head. I'm going to have gloves, and I'm going to be wearing layers over my tri-kit. Once you put your wetsuit on, you can still have these layers if you're willing to throw them away. There will be a deposit area for all of the warm clothes that you're wearing on race morning that you're not able to stash before the race start. So I want you to think about being as warm as you possibly can on race morning. It is a week earlier than what it has been in the past. In the past, we've typically seen no warmer than 50 degrees first thing in the morning. So keep that in mind. You're going to be standing around for, aside from getting ready in transition, then by the time you're landing up in your corral, you could be in the corrals for 45 minutes, maybe up to an hour.
Look, I can't put enough emphasis on this. If you only take one thing away from this entire call, this is it. You have to be totally overdressed in the morning. The most DNFs that they have are in the first 200 meters of the swim, and it's because people's core temperature is so low from standing out in the harbor area on the transition that when they get into the water, they're frozen and they can't function. You have to be hot. You have to be overdressed and hot. And you'll be given a morning gear bag that you can stuff stuff into and leave, but you've got to have a lot of warm stuff on. You look ridiculous in Southern California, but it's mandatory. Wool hat, neck gaiter, down parka, sweatpants, everything to keep, even if there were mini gloves. And it's nice if you can go for a little jog while you're overdressed like that to get your core temp even higher. So it's worth it to go through those steps.
Other things that help are drinking warm liquids in the morning. You should be testing out how much caffeine you really want before the start of a race. So that warm liquid might just be water with some lemon in it. But that will also help bring your core temperature up and keep you a little bit warm as well. That extra bag that they're giving you is for post race, which is not necessarily the clothes that you're wearing as you're trying to stay in the corral or close to the corral. That's for post race. So
Mm.
just know that post race, it might be 70 degrees outside, but you're still going to be probably a little bit chilled if you've been sweating for the last 6, 7 hours. So that bag should not have your cell phone in it. It should not have your car keys in it. You don't want to put valuables in that bag, but it will be right when you leave transition and you're going in to line up into your corral, and then it'll be transported to the finish line for you to gather at the end of the race.
I have a quick question. So there will be some of the layered clothes that we're wearing. We can leave somewhere, like there can be some clothes that we want to be able to get afterwards, and then a few for like tossing right at the last minute.
That's what we're saying. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So kind of some of the top layers can be taken off and left with our stuff. And then those last few layers that can be kind of, put in the don't care if they get.
Yes, the donation
Okay.
box area.
Gotcha.
You can litter essentially, and they collect all
Pick
those.
it up. Okay. Okay.
But I want to
So,
this
All right.
extra bag that you're taking with you, there's a check-in area for it. So there's going to be a line for that as well. So just keep that in mind as you're figuring out, I want to be at this. I'll ask Ian to talk about a little bit more about that. But the corrals, as you're lining up in your corrals, give yourself enough time to get into an early, especially if you're wanting to get into one of the early corrals, that you're getting yourself enough time to drop that bag off.
Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, so you mentioned don't put phones in that bag for the post race. So what would you do with your phone? Because I mean we can't race with it, obviously.
Is anyone coming with you?
Yeah, my family. So I should just like leave it with them. Like
Okay.
I feel like I don't even need my phone. The
Yeah.
more I think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've left my phone with my transition bag next to my bike, is what I've done in the past.
Okay, well that brings up a question, and I don't know the answer to this, Carla. I'm asking you.
You can lay your stuff out.
You can leave a transition bag onto your bike,
Yeah,
and that
yeah,
would be something that you would get after you finish and walk a mile to go pick up your bike. You're going to pick up your transition bag.
yeah. So you
Oh,
have to remember that, and it's not like in other Ironmans where they give you a transition bag, like
it's
from what
your
I
own
remember
backpack.
last year. Yeah, it's not
Yeah, it's
your
your own
own
backpack.
backpack.
Yeah.
Oh, got it.
So in other races, they make you put things in like a bike bag and in a run bag. And from what I remember last year, that we didn't
You're
have
right.
those
You're
special
totally right,
bags.
Mine. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this race is a little different than other Ironmans.
And
But
so
yeah,
Thursday,
definitely don't put your phone in because those morning bags get transported. I think you have to pick it up actually at
yeah,
the
I'll just
swim.
leave it with
At the
some
Yeah.
finish.
family.
Yeah.
But Thursday, so I'm just bringing my bike there, and then everything else that I need for transition, I'm bringing the morning of, and
Yeah.
then clothes that I can donate
Yep.
all there. Okay, got it.
And
Okay.
Right.
and don't put water bottles or food on your bike when you leave it in. Bring that on race morning. Don't leave your shoes or helmet there. Bring that on race morning. Yeah.
They had a lot of
So
water.
happy I'm on this call.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's water stations at transition that you can fill up your bottles.
Oh, that's good to know. Sometimes they don't have that, but
Yeah.
yeah. But it helps to have an ex. So in the morning, you're going to want to be taking in some nutrition, taking in some fluids before the race start. And you are going to be standing in that corral for a while. So it's a good idea to have a disposable bottle aside from the nutrition that you're going to have on your bike that you can carry around with you with some electrolytes on it until you're ready to just dispose of that, before you start the swim.
Eric, that morning's really protracted. The time that you have to walk into transition to the time that you start your swim can be an hour and a half, sometimes longer.
Wow.
So
Okay.
that's why you have to be so overdressed, is you got to survive an hour and a half out next to the ocean in the cool temps. Sometimes it's misty, windy. And then also that's why forget about the bottles on your bike for race day. Forget about the nutrition on your bike for race day. This is a separate idea of something to sip and snack on through the gap from breakfast to the start of the race. So have something separate for that too.
Got it. So if I'm waiting there for, let's call it an hour,
Yep.
like all my pre-race fuel that, maybe I'm planning on consuming like 30 minutes to 45 minutes, I should bring all that
Bring
because I'm
it.
going to be probably consuming it there
Yep.
versus like, got it.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Are we ready to get into the swim?
Yeah, let's.
Okay.
I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to bring up swim course. I'm going to zoom in here just a little bit. So this is a satellite picture of that entire harbor area. And this parking lot between the roundabout and the swim start finish area, this is the entire transition area. It's very long and skinny. And the only reason why that's an important note is to make it fair. When you finish the swim and come out, you have to run all the way down the exterior of the transition area towards this roundabout, then make a U-turn, come into transition and run all the way back up to wherever your bike is. And then the mountain line is all the way out here again across from the start finish of the swim. So this parking lot makes up the transition area right here. And then there are several boat ramps here. And as you can see, the southern moor side is the start side where when you stream in, you will, every, say, 5 seconds, there'll be 3 or 4 athletes that'll get in the water together, swim out, and the first buoy's right here. Left turn, and you're headed out. And then when you come back in, the final buoy's right here. You'll turn, you'll swim the last 40 meters approximately into this boat ramp, and you just swim until your fingers touch the concrete. And that's when you know to stand up. You'll be shin deep, and you can head up into the rather large tour on foot that you have to make to get to your bike. I'm going to zoom out a little bit more because what I want to show you is this. There's an Army Corps of Engineer rock wall right here that keeps the swell from coming straight into the marina. So the vast majority of the swim is protected, and you should expect the water to be pretty smooth. However, the way the swell is sometimes directed, it will sneak in through this gap right here And these two buoys that I suspect are actually a little farther out into this open space, it can get bumpy out here. And also keep in mind the whole return leg is eastbound. You want to talk about what that means in the morning?
Oh, the sun is in your eyes the whole time, unfortunately,
And it's
unless
hard to
it's going
sight.
to be cloudy.
Yeah, it's hard to sight.
Hmm.
So as you're coming back through here and you're targeting this buoy, sometimes you look up and you're just very blinded and it's just hard to see. Thank goodness you're not out in open space. You know, you're swimming parallel to this border wall here. You have a lot of stuff in the background to see. So it's not like you're going to curve and swim out to sea. It's just you're not going to be as perfectly on your line as you'd like to be just because the sighting can be tough. And then as you angle back in, you're still facing east and it's just hard to make it in. But now you've got lots of boats and docks and things around you. So you're not going to get lost and get too far astray on your return when you're blinded. The water temperature is cold, and wetsuits, in my mind, it's just mandatory. It's number one, it's got the buoyancy. Number two, it's faster than human skin. Number three, if you have the choice of long sleeve or no sleeve, go long sleeve. It's always faster. It's a little bit warmer. If you're concerned about the cold, I would double cap. I would put on your own favorite race cap, and then I would put on the Ironman race cap with your number on it that they give you. So you double cap. That can keep your head a lot warmer, and that's really good. And then this is not a race where I would do a pre-swim warm-up. I'm a huge fan of pre-swim warm-up. But Maya and I talked about taking some bands and finding a telephone pole or street sign, something off to the edge, maybe a lifeguard tower that's in the sand outside of the transition area, and just wrapping the cord around and taking 5 or 6 minutes to do a series of banded swim warm-up exercises. You can find them on YouTube and get your shoulders ready to rock and roll from that, get your core temp up again, and then come back in to queue up for your swim start. And then the last thing I'll say is this. What they like to do is they like to have volunteers with a sign overhead that gives your possible swim time. I think the fastest is around 25 minutes, then it goes 30, 35, 40, etc. If you don't know what your intended swim time is because you're new to the game, Carla and I can predict that based on some pool time, so we can talk about it. But I would really suggest trying to go maybe 5 minutes faster than what your predicted time would be. And then your goal would be to try and get on the feet of somebody as they come by you. And the thinking is you could take it easy for the first, say, 200. And then when there's people behind you who actually do swim your pace, come through, you might find the perfect draft feet to get on and hold their feet for an easier swim, a lower intensity swim, saving energy for bike and run. So that's a possible way to go about it. So give some thought to that. Any questions? Carla, did I miss anything?
No. I'm just gonna add in terms of so he did mention the double cap, but neoprene caps are great too. You'll make use of them in Southern California for sure. There's other races that you might go to where you would want a neoprene cap. If you're gonna do it, practice in it. There is usually a chin strap. It kind of covers your ears. It makes you feel a little like it just feels different. If you don't like that, you can cut off the chin strap. That's not a big deal. The other thing is the light in the morning here is usually pretty subdued. So do not bring at least two pairs of goggles. If you don't have a lot of different shade options, I would say bring a clear and then bring a light reflective, not a dark reflective. But I'll share with you what I just pulled out of my bag if you can see these.
Mm-hmm.
So these are Rokas. This happens once you find a brand of goggle you like, you stick with them. So I've got these in a lot of different tints, and this is the amber tint. And the amber tint is really good for our overcast days, and it also, because of the orange filter, it makes those orange buoys look brighter. So that's what an amber tint looks like, and that's why I find them valuable for a lot of the races that I do here. I would also say that, Ian, everything's a left-hand buoys on the left, correct?
Yeah, except for the final one. Yeah.
Okay. So if you some people would say that this course gets crowded. And if that is a bother to you, if you don't like being near people, then stay a little bit further to the right. You're going to find it more crowded towards the left where the buoys are, and you could stay a little bit further to the right if you don't want to get run over, if you don't want to get swum over. You're going back to transition now. What I know about this transition, which Ian already said, is you do have a lengthy run. It's going to have probably it has carpet of some sort. It's probably just something to keep you from slipping, but your feet won't be terribly. You're not hitting the pavement, right? So it's not terrible for running. I would definitely. This is not one of those races where I would put shoes at the exit and collect those and try to run in them. You should be able to run this no problem or walk it if you need to. Some things that I would personally have in my as part of my plan would be to have hand warmers. And I would put a hand warmer in each of my cycling shoes before the race starts, so my shoes are nice and warm. I'd pull one out of each. I'd put one down the front of my shirt and one in one of my back pockets. I would also consider that the air temperature is probably going to be about 50 degrees. I would plan to either bring a windbreaker or another a jersey to wear over my tri-kit. Now I have extra pockets for my fuel if I bring the jersey. Either way, if it's a windbreaker, you could obviously you can crunch it up and either stick it down your front after you get maybe, an hour into the ride. But either way, your hands are going to be cold, and I've found that I often can't zip things up. So if you're going to use something that requires some zipping, I would start the zippers just a couple inches up and then pull it over your head, obviously, before you put your helmet on. So those are some ways that you could avoid being really cold for that first hour of the ride. But most people say that once they get going, they're pretty comfortable on this particular course. Arm warmers could also be an option. Probably wouldn't go with gloves.
We deal with this at La Quinta all the time because it's early December. Water temperature can be really cold, but more than that, the air temperature can be 40. And the course is so flat. If you're going 20 miles an hour, the wind chill comes down to the 30s. It can be really tough. And on occasion, people have found success with especially those with Raynaud's, to buy a cheap gardening glove and ride it for the first half an hour. And then when you get to an aid station, there's a litter zone there. You can throw anything you want on the ground. And if you got a cheap glove, you can do that. You probably wouldn't want to do that with a nice vest, windbreaker, or arm warmers. That's something you'd either want to wad up or roll down to your wrist or what have you. But it's nice just to have some options in case you're there race morning and it is just colder than expected. That can happen. And if it does, you want options. You don't want to have a problem on the day just because of, a $15, $20 item that you could have brought with you. So give some thought to that. Can we talk about the course?
There was one other thing about the swim course. A thought for both you and spectators. Spectators, a good viewing point is at the north end, in the harbor. From the north end of the harbor, they can see the swim going on. For yourselves, if you go out of transition and keep going north, you can see the buoys laid out. You can see how much chop there is that Ian was talking about. Yeah.
You get out to this area at the end of the parking lot and you can look right out into this big part of the course and get a sense of what's going on in terms of conditions. Also, Carla, you said there's going to be wetsuit strippers this year and a mini changing tent.
Yeah, there are wetsuit strippers. That I would take advantage of the wetsuit strippers if there wasn't a line for sure.
For those of you who haven't done it before, what you do is when you get out of the water, grab your Velcro, grab your zipper leash, get it off an arm. But when you get to the stripper, you just lay down on, they have some AstroTurf, you just lay down on it and the
Your
strippers
feet toward them.
feet towards them and they just grab the material of the wetsuit and just bring it off your legs and then hand it back to you as you get up and you're running. And I've only had that done a few times. It's nice. It's nice. Okay, I think that covers
Break the bike.
swim. T1. Let's talk bike. I'm going to share my screen again here, and we're going to land on the bike course here. Now, I'm not bringing up the Ironman map. I'm going to bring up a Ride with GPS map because we can get a little more detail. So here it is. I'm going to zoom in one click just so we can really get a sense of it. And, keep in mind, this is a loop, and mentally to have that is one giant loop. That's a great thing to have in your mind. But I don't want you to be deceived by this out and back, this dastardly out and back right here that starts, right around mile 10 and a half. This is a long out and back. And psychologically, if you think this course is a loop and you spend 2.5 miles going into Camp Pendleton and then turn and come out, you're going to be, your soul is going to be hurt. So remember, when you get to this spot, you have an out and back. It's hardly a grade. It's 0.5% up. It's a false flat. You turn around, you come back down, and then you're back on your loop. There are 3 no passing zones. Let's discuss them. So we're going to zoom in here. Remember, Carla said there's a hill when you leave. And if I look right here, there's a little wall. It's very short, but it's 4 or 5%. Right here. You're not even a half mile into this ride, and you've got this little 4 or 5% moment, which is not bad. I mean, it's kind of a nice place to just get out of the saddle for a second and stretch your legs and kind of find your feet. So that's an important note. But here's the part I want to talk about. This map is not correct. I'm going to switch really quickly to satellite mode so we can see this. We're entering the base here, and there's basically a mall right here. This is a gas station at the lower end of this little triangle. And then in here is like, Starbucks, McDonald's, whatnot. This is the PX. And the course leaves this main drag. And you see this little shabby alleyway right here? This is one of the no passing zones. The road's got potholes and cracks in it. It's narrow. It goes behind this gas station. And then I think it goes behind the whole PX. So you're back here in the delivery trash bin zone. And you get behind all of this, and then you turn out here and you come back on. So just be aware that this stretch right here, this is early. This is mile 3. This is a no passing zone right through here. Okay, that's 1. Let me zoom back out. I'm going to come back to map mode so we can see it a little better. Okay, the second no passing zone. Let's skip ahead. You're headed north. You go under the 5. By the way, I'm just going to tell you right now so you have it in your mind. There's a place right here that eats bicycles. This road has cracks in it that run vertically, and you really need to pay attention when you go underneath the freeway here. It's a little bit of a descent, so you've got some speed, and the pavement here, the concrete is trashy, and you need to pay attention when you get around here. And there's quite a bump here, as I recall, too. Okay, anyway, we're moving on. Now we're headed north still, and this is really easy to spot because you're going to pass San Onofre, which is a nuclear power plant, and there are 2 enormous cooling towers here, and you can't miss these things. I mean, they stick out like absolute sore thumbs. And when you pass those, you're getting close to the next no passing zone. I'm scrolling up, scrolling up. Here's the huge nuclear power plant with these 2 domes right here. You go by this entire industrial facility. And then right here, this is our second no passing zone. This is mile 24.9. You're going to move on to a sort of a sidewalk bike path, and there's a gate right here. And it's super narrow when you get into this. So this is a no passing zone, and it holds all the way up. You'll get up into here, it widens out a little bit more. I'm sure it's safe and fine there. And then another sketchy moment is at the top of this. I'm scrolling up.
So apparently that section opened up this year.
Oh, I'd love to hear that.
But it's still no passing and there's no speed trap.
Here's what's interesting about what Mai says, because Mai's dropped some nuggets on me. And I went and read the athlete guide. And I said to Carla before the call, hey, there's mortal drink mix ads all in the athlete guide, and we've gone to Precision Nutrition. And Carla said they haven't updated the athlete guide yet. So I'm loving your input, and I thank you for that. And there's another piece coming up on the final no passing zone. So this one gets sketchy up here too. They made note of this. I'm going to zoom in. You pop out of what is essentially a sidewalk onto this road. You turn right, you go over I-5, and you're on the base. Okay. So if I zoom way down here, there's this little yellowish orange square right there. That's that plastic dots that I think are used for
Wheelchairs or something.
wheelchair. Yeah. And if it's damp with morning mist, those things are icy. So you have to be careful when you pour out of this sidewalk and onto the street not to lose it on that patch of plastic right there. Okay. Now, let's get into the fun part of it. I'm going to switch back to map for a second here. You go over I-5 and you go through one of the gates to get into um, the base. And there is a hill here, San Mateo, and it's well, let's see, 31.4 to 31.8, so it's just shy half a mile. It's at 17% in some places. They call this Hell Hill, and what makes it even worse is when you're 4 miles out, you can see this thing from that far away, and you can see little dots of athletes going up it. Like it's dramatic. And there is no reason for you to try and set the Strava KOM on this climb. Settle into your granny gear early, sit up, pedal easy, don't overtax it. What I can tell you is, as soon as you're at the top of this thing, there's a ripper descent on the other side. You get recovery. So if you want to pick up your pace a little bit in the last 20 yards by adding on a cog or two, or maybe even standing up to bring the bike up to speed so that you're not just coasting into that descent, that's a great option for you. But the top of the hill is right here at mile 32, and there's a nice descent for at least a mile or more coming down the other side that's really very forgiving.
I'm going to interrupt for 1 second. We skipped the first aid station. Just so you know, the first aid station, I think, was around mile 18. But right before this climb is your second aid station.
That's right.
So make sure you take advantage of it if you even think you need it.
By the
Is
way,
there a
go
or
ahead.
is there a climb around us that is similar to that hill? You
You're in
know
Santa
that
Monica, right, Eric? Where are you? West side?
yeah, I'm in Santa Monica.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, if you were in a hurry, you could do repeats on the top of Mandeville because the top of Mandeville is pretty steep and it starts to emulate this. If you wanted to go
Right.
out to a traffic light on PCH, not too far past Topanga. It's called Big Rock. There's a traffic light there. Turn and go to
Yep.
Big Rock. That whole thing is crazy steep. That'll give you a real taste of it, no doubt. Uh,
Okay.
yep. Those are some.
I've done mainly like Mulholland a lot and
Yeah.
then like just like riding down to PV and then going up like Hawthorne there or down by the PV Cove. I think there's like a half-mile stretch that is ranges between like 8 to 14%.
Yeah. If you're climbing 14, 17 is not gonna hurt you. Like you get the taste of it right there. It's
I
fine.
mean, it's tough for me. It's tough. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm gonna have to do this in a race.
Eric, do you happen to know the gearing on your bike? What's the small chain ring? What's the biggest cog? How many teeth are on those two? Do you know?
Yes,
Okay.
because I not yeah, not too recently, but the my biggest one on the back cassette is now 36.
Oh, then you're in a sweet spot, man. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna
It
be fine.
used to be 28 and I was struggling.
Yeah, okay. When Carla mentioned take advantage of those aid stations, there's one way to do that. Like if you think, hey, my bottles are half full, I don't want to give them up. That's my stuff. That's okay. Point at the volunteer that has the bottle you want, water, precision nutrition, whatever it is. Just take that. And then take 3 or 4 pulls off it and then throw that bottle down on the ground within the litter zone. Like you can do that. That's totally legal. Because you take a bottle doesn't mean it has to go into your cages. It doesn't have to stay with you till it's empty. If it's hot, take the water bottle, dump it through a vent in your helmet, throw it down on the ground. You can do that at any time. That's part of the game. So if you think, well, wait a minute, my favorite bottle's almost empty, then pull that before the aid station, finish it, throw that in the legal litter zone, and take a replacement, holster it, and then take another one and take a pull and throw it on the ground. You can help yourself through this process. So don't be skimping on aid. Take what you need, take a little more than you need. It's there for you.
What about the gels? So I've been practicing with the Mortons and
What do
I've
you
been
think?
practicing with
Like, they
the
working for you?
yeah, I like them. I love them actually. But I've been using the big ones, so I don't really take them as often as probably I would with I think they have like the hundreds on the course, right?
They have the hundreds on the course,
Yeah.
yes.
So I mean, I can only hold so many gels in my suit, so I'm probably gonna need to like stop and grab as many gels as possible at these aid stations, I'm assuming, right? And
I
then
want to make a suggestion to you.
okay.
Do not stop.
Okay.
Okay, don't stop. You're going to see somebody in the bike aid station with a gel. And by the way, this is a page from the athlete guide that shows the order that everything comes in the aid station. And the top one is the bike. You can see the bike images above it. And you can
Got
see
it.
where the Morton gel is, the little black one there in the middle. And you can easily point out to that volunteer and even say, I need two. And they'll wad them up and hand them to you, and you can grab it and roll on. You can stuff them down a shirt if you need to and roll on. Um, those things are expensive. I expect you to finish this race with more than when you started. That's what I expect.
Yeah, no, I have plans. I'm gonna be a Morton's thief.
Yeah. So
Keep in mind that there's caffeinated and then there's the regular. The black is the regular, the white is caffeinated. So know what you're getting.
Got it.
okay, the final no passing zone is at mile 38. It's a descent. Now, I'm entertained by this because every year they automatically disqualify people. And when I say automatically, here's what I mean. It's a speed trap. They know when your chip comes over the starting line of the 25 mile an hour. Well, we got to talk about this, of this
Yeah,
no
there's
passing.
no speed trap this year.
Right, there's no speed trap this year. And then and so you're not supposed to pass through there. In the races behind us, you weren't allowed to exceed 25 miles an hour. That's clearly not the case now because they've resurfaced the road, but we don't have the details of this yet. And this is the kind of thing you have to go into that athlete meeting totally understanding what the rules of that section are. I'm very certain they're going to send you behind the gas station in the PX. It's a very short no passing zone. It's early in the race, no big deal. It's flat. There's probably going to be that no passing zone up above San Onofre nuclear power plant when you're on the sidewalk. You'll learn about that too. But the confirmation of this 38 mile per hour place that has entrapped a bunch of people in the past, you need to learn what the rules are about that this year at the athlete meeting. It'll be the
So
talk. It'll be the talk of the race, by the way.
at mile 38, there's that short little decline and then
There's a
a little bit
descent
of an incline and then there's
with
more
a
of a descent. So
turn.
is it that whole thing?
Yeah,
It's no passing?
it's the descent with a turn at the bottom. And you won't know for sure what the game is there until you go to the athlete meeting, but that's a place
Got
to
it.
be very aware of.
Okay.
Okay. Then the last thing I want to say is this. You come out of you're leaving the base and you're riding back towards T2. And this is a place where it's flat, you really feel, and it's almost downhill a little bit. You really feel good about it. 9 years out of 10, there's a headwind here. Just as the day rolls on, it starts to blow on shore, and you're just dealing with a headwind all the way through here. So you need to come into this psychologically prepared that it's not going to be a free ride descent down into transition. You're going to have to work. And so this is yet another reason to stay on your nutrition, to keep your pace logical, because for you to power through that and ride too hard, you might save 2 or 3 minutes as opposed to riding easy, but you might end up walking 5K. And that's never an exchange you want in triathlon. It's better to lighten up on the bike there, let people pass you, be sensible about it. And while they're cramping, walking, vomiting on the run, and you're still running at whatever your pace is, you're going to be minutes ahead of them.
I'll add, aside from not letting that headwind cause you to work too hard towards the end of this ride, that this is 13 miles where you're finally not climbing. And if you have not done really well on your nutrition, like you should have a plan. How empty are your bottles? How many gels have you had? Do a check-in. How am I feeling? How's my energy? What's my mental state? What's the fatigue aside from what's going on in your legs? Where do I need to go from here? I've got 30 minutes or more to get it together so that I feel great on the run. So make sure that you're using this time to take in adequate nutrition before the run.
Eric, just to give you an idea, because we do this math with all of our athletes, Mai is petite and mighty. Her goal is 70 grams of carbohydrates per hour. She's going to ride about a little over 3 hours. So we know the number of grams she has to take on. It's 260 basically. And she knows what she has in bottles and in fuel on the bike at the beginning and what she has to take up. Like we have it all laid out. For you, Eric, the number might be a little bigger. It might be 80 grams per hour, and you need to math that out and figure out what do I have in my bottles? Can I mix it rich so it's a little heavier in carbohydrate? How many gels am I going to have on the bike? And then what do I have to take up where to make up for it? Keep in mind, the precision nutrition that they're serving on the course is primarily an electrolyte drink. There's only 4 grams of carb in a bottle. That's not a carbohydrate source. You're going to have to get it from
Right.
somewhere else. So just keep that in mind.
And then is there a third uh aid station like after the climbs or
There is. There are three
okay.
total. I'm
Um,
I'm waking up my screen here so I can find it.
Eric, have you tried Tailwind? Because
mile
that's
four, mile 45.
I have
that,
not.
45 is
45,
your
okay.
last one. Yeah, it's right at the top of this final climb. So you get a really
Perfect.
long, steady descent after that aid station before the flats start. Okay. We're leaving the bike course, coming into T2. Um, when athletes are trying to be competitive and they're running 5 and 10K off the bike, I really like it when they can develop the ability to run without socks on. I don't care who you are, how tough your feet are. I really think taking the extra 40 seconds to put on socks, if you don't already have them on from the bike, to start your run is a smart call. Things can get weird on days when you're perspiring and spilling water over your head and down your body, and the feet get swollen, the skin gets soft, and 7, 8, 9 miles into it, you've got your feet bloody with blisters. It's not worth it. Put socks on and then run with socks. I like elastic laces for 5 and 10K. I don't like them for half marathon and beyond because there's constant tension from the elastic and your feet can get really crampy. With a real lace and say a barrel lock, if you want to be speedy, you can really set the tension where you want it in the laces. It's far more comfortable. You got to keep your feet happy for a longer run. Um, the run, I'm going to jump to the course here really quickly. The run has some very short little bumps in it, and those bumps are really manageable. And I would say, depending on how you're feeling and what your goals are, one option, if you look at the topography down here at the bottom, one option is when you come to this moment right here where it's 3% grade, which is, in terms of running, that's got some pitch to it. It's half a block. And if you were scared or worried or you weren't feeling good, you can walk half a block and save yourself from that heart rate, that effort, that potential cramping, whatever state you're dealing with, and then run the flats above and you come to the next little half a block at 2% and at 2.5. And if it's too much, just walk that half a block and then start running again. There's only a few of those. So if you ended up walking 3 or 4 blocks because you walked a couple of half blocks here and there just to preserve it, okay. If you're feeling great, settle into something manageable so that when you get to the top of that, you can keep a good run rolling. It's important to know a couple of things. One is the turnaround to start the second lap. This is a 2-lap run. And the turnaround, keep in mind where we are. This green dot is the exit of T2 when you start the run. And you run flat out of the harbor and you go over this little bridge right here. Well, the turnaround to start the second run is here, right on the edge of this river outlet. So you end up running almost all the way back to transition before you make your U-turn. And you need to have that in your mind because it adds some distance. And then, of course, there's a little pier out and back that's in each lap. And then when you get out here to the turnaround, it's a little deceiving too. You make a U-ey and you have to run several blocks up this other street before you turn around and come back to get the mileage. And then I think it's important to know where the finish is too. The finish is right here before the pier, even before where the expo was, at the registration area. And so if you're coming down this last little drop right here, this last little quarter of a block descent, and you're feeling good, you're on the beach path, this is the time to open it up because there's not a lot of miles left when you get into this place and you want to finish strong if there's other competitors around you. It's a good place to finish strong. There's aid every mile
There's
and
lots of spectators throughout the whole course.
good energy.
Yeah, good energy.
Here are in the run aid stations. They're all set up the same. There's water, then there's precision. They have cola. They have two chances at electrolyte drink, two chances at water. They have gels in the middle. They're all there for you. There's a litter zone run all the way through this thing, and there's very clear signage about when the litter ends. Do not get popped for littering. And those little vests underneath, that's what color the volunteers wear. They wear that blue vest for water, the green vest for electrolyte, a black vest for the gels. It's the same on the bike. So there's a lot of service out there. You shouldn't have to carry too much. If Mortal works well with your system, that's a good thing to know because it's a big advantage to not carry anything while you're running. How did you enjoy the run last year?
So a lesson learned for me was I didn't do nutrition properly on the bike. And that's what E and I've talked about. I didn't get enough carbs in. And so I've had more like a bloated feeling on the run. And now I think I'm zoned in onto my carbs and not, making sure my nutrition is good because you're feeling it for the run. So that's, I would say, definitely the key there for me.
Mhm.
I'm going to add something to what Ian just said in terms of take the nutrition on the course, which is if you're an athlete who's going to be finishing 6.5, 7 hours, the nutrition that you might want may be gone.
Mm.
So, not necessarily at all the aid stations, but you might be like, oh, I'm at mile 8. I would like a Morton gel. It might not be there. So it's a good idea to have a little bit of a stock. You don't need to fill up your pockets with everything you need. Take advantage of what is available on the course, but have some of your own on you.
Yeah, the caffeine ones go fast.
bet.
That was the one thing I remember. There weren't any caffeinated gels when I got to like doing the second loop. Those were, yeah.
Hmm.
So question about shoes, because I've read there's like limitations on stack height, and my shoes are definitely beyond the 40 millimeters. Like, do you think I gotta go out and get some new shoes, or do
Don't
you think I'm
don't show up with anything illegal. Look, you might get away with it.
okay?
Risk the DNF. It's too much of an investment. Get a
Yeah,
pair of shoes that are legal and bring that.
got it.
Yeah.
What does stacked mean?
Stacked.
Stacked. Oh, the height of your
Or the
Carl,
stack height.
we have super shoes now with carbon and filler and whatnot that make it go faster. And Ironman has put the kibosh on that getting too crazy. Yeah.
Gotcha.
By the way, Mai makes a really important point here. It's rare that we have to wear our run number. Now, when I think of a run number, I think of the bib on an elastic number belt that you clip around your waist to do the run in, okay? It's rare that we have a race where you have to wear that number on the bike. This is one of them. Also, I don't like putting numbers on my helmet. I really don't. We have no body marking in this race. They simply just don't do it because they depend on you having numbers on your bike, numbers on your helmet, and the bib run number on the number belt on your body during the bike. This is all because of Camp Pendleton's rules. Camp Pendleton wants to know who you are when you're on their property. So they're very serious about this, and you have to remember to put that number. Theoretically, you could pin this to your race kit and wear it swim, bike, run, and just never think about it. That's an option too.
I'll add that Ironman, so the race director, not every race is like this, but the race director has chosen to do their own series of videos. So they already have released one on the swim, one for the bike, and they'll be releasing one for the run as well. Ian and I wanted to focus on the things that we think are most valuable that they're not showing you, but there is a lot of information in those videos as well. They just don't show you the courses. That's one thing that we wanted to make sure that we showed you. So do take advantage of those and take a look at them before race day. Race
Carla
week.
really took a bullet for the team today by taking 2 hours to watch those. Uh,
Yeah, this session is still better than the bike webinar. I will say that for sure.
Yeah.
we want to leave you with just a couple of ideas. Carla we do a Monday night call with our team every Monday, and Carla went through some things that really worked last night. So we want to touch on those. And
Uh,
then we'll leave you with some final thoughts here too.
so I'm just going to read this because the notes are clear to me. But we talked about your mental game and how your brain is the command center for performance. The brain is constantly assessing fuel availability, stress, perceived effort, and safety. And what feels like physical failure is often the brain making a protective decision first. Understanding that sometimes a session that you're going into is feeling particularly bad may not mean that you're underperforming because of fitness, but rather that your brain is on overload. So I'm bringing this all up because you guys still are building in your efforts. You still have hard workouts ahead of you. I want you to think about I'm reading these notes, how you can train your brain now so that you have the best race possible. And then keep in mind that cognitive load matters as much as training load. What's cognitive load? Things like work stress, poor sleep, emotional strain, and decision fatigue all impact performance. Again, a lack of motivation or resistance to want to start a workout doesn't automatically mean that you're not ready for it. It may mean that your brain needs support. So, what can you do to support your brain? The first thing to consider is fuel, which supports the brain, not just the body. It's important in your training to know what early signs of low fuel are. So before you bonk, note things like your mood is dropping, you're getting irritable, you're starting to have some negative self-talk in your head, you're making poor decisions, maybe you're not handling your bike really well. So to minimize this, fuel early and consistently. If nutrition is hard to tolerate, and this can happen late in a race, you've probably never experienced this if you haven't done a 70.3 before or longer, but sometimes it happens. Even the best laid out plans, your stomach can get to a point where it doesn't want to take in fuel. So what you can do is just take in a little bit of fuel with liquid, swish it around in your mouth, and this sends a signal to your brain that it's receiving sugar, even though you're not ingesting it. So that's a good little trick to try if you're just not wanting any more sugary stuff, put it in your mouth, swish it, spit it out. Negative thoughts are normal, but there are tools that you can do to help your mindset. Everyone experiences negative thoughts in training and racing. The difference is not whether they show up, but what you do when they do show up. There are a number of tools that can help override the internal chatter. Mantras are one of the best ones that I can come up with that I've used a lot, especially when you speak them out loud. So if you do not have a mantra, I suggest coming up with one. Smiling helps, just putting that smile on your face. It's an external way of getting out of your head and bringing yourself out into public. Encouraging other athletes. Hopefully you'll see other LA Tri Clubbers there, aside from them and your friends and your family. Try to encourage other athletes while you're out there. Using visualization, such as the finish line or a favorite place. I always like to think, if there's a particular ride that you do over and over again, you can or run, and let's use run as an example, a run that you do frequently. Just if you're stuck at mile 4, just think about the last 4 miles of that run that you do over and over again, knowing that you can get to the end. Think about music and lyrics that lift you up. Get back into your breath. So if you're finding you're breathing up here in your chest, you're just having a hard time breathing, slow everything down and get your breath back. And of course, fueling. So you're going to want to practice these tools in training so that they're automatic on race day. And then your taper is about brain recovery, not just having fresh legs. During your taper, your training volume drops, your mental bandwidth increases, and you might end up using that mental bandwidth to work more or do something that's stressful. So let's think ahead about things that you can do to reduce fatigue and stress during your taper. Um, First, reduce the decision fatigue. Lock in those race plans ahead of time. Don't wait till the week of race to be figuring out what your nutrition calculation is going to be, which bags you're going to take, which water bottles you're going to take. Try to get all that stuff figured out ahead of time. Prioritize sleep. We always talk about banking sleep the days leading into your race. Make sure you're sleeping really well because the day or two before the race, you're probably not going to sleep well. Try to spend time outdoors, do something playful or that's restorative. Connect with friends, finish a small project. These are all things that you can do with that extra time where you feel like you should be training, but you do not need to be training. Um, these are not distractions, they're performance supporting behaviors. So, tools to practice in training, identify what things might be happening cognitively that are warning signs that you're not getting enough fuel. Avoid the bonk. Choose a mantra and practice doing that mantra out loud during hard efforts. Practice fueling before your mood drops, and add one brain calming activity during your taper. My final thought is fitness gets you to the start line, and your brain determines how much of that fitness you actually get to use on race day.
Really nice.
Question.
Yep.
Can you define bonking?
Yeah, well, this is why Carla made mention of the precursors to bonk. Okay. The bonk is when you've gotten so low in muscle glycogen and blood sugar to support that that you're unable to function at even a modest level. I mean, really running out of energy. That's what the bonk is. By the way, a synonym to that that was used a lot in marathon days was hitting the wall, like you were bonking your head against the wall. There was just a place where the duration of your energies came to an end, and everything on the other side of that place was weak. So there are things that lead to the bonk, that lead up to the bonk. A lot like altitude sickness. There's a lot of different ways that it gets revealed. Some people get just really negative. Why am I out here? This race is dumb anyway. I shouldn't have. That's a precursor to a lot of people's bonk. Another one is just fatigue. Like, whoa, my saddle just doesn't feel good right now. It's hurting in my arms and my hands. That sort of achiness can be a precursor to a bonk. Another one can be kind of just uh, sort of
Making bad decisions.
making bad decisions, lines that you take with the bike. Like, wait, why am I over here on the edge where all the junk is? I should be, cleaner part of the road, or I'm not paying attention, I'm spacing out, I'm blocking in the left-hand lane. I'm lucky I didn't get a penalty. So these kinds of things can be a precursor to the bonk, even sort of some sleepiness. And so you have to, here's the great thing about it, about identifying those things. If you have something that is ultra processed, super high glycemic, this is the stuff that is busily killing American society and that we as triathletes, when we're training and racing, is what we live on. That stuff is scientifically designed to become blood sugar really quick. It has a great high glycemic value. And so for you to do a gel, chase it with water, like 30, 40 seconds later, you can start to feel that attitude change and you can dig yourself out of the hole. If you get too deep in the hole and you bonk and you run out of gas, it can take much longer to recover from that. So acknowledging what those precursor symptoms are specific for you, that's an important thing.
I feel like I need to force myself to bonk then. I mean, like
Maybe,
the
by the
right
way,
now.
that's a fine thing to do is to plan a 3-hour ride, have a very light breakfast, and then just drink water and just let it happen. Give a day to it. It's a bummer because it'll affect the next day too in training. I mean, it's a good thing to know about and how to avoid it.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, this workout that I was talking about on velocity, we spent three-minute efforts at VO2 max. And I know you already know this. You wouldn't do that on race day. Like that's way too deep in the well to expect you'd run well off of that. But by doing those efforts, what happens is you'll get to the top of Hell Hill there, and you'll be like, you know what? I can dip into zone 6 for the 40 seconds at the top of this hill. I can grab 2 cogs, stand up, attack into the descent so that I'm going 20 miles an hour at the top of the hill rather than waiting and halfway down the hill getting to 20 miles an hour. A lot of people do that. They overcook the climb, they're exhausted, and they coast into the descent. What I'm asking everybody to do here is to pace the bottom of the climb so that you're riding steady and moderately. And then at the top, the very top, get out of the saddle, give an effort, get the bike up to speed so that you're going fast the moment the hill's over. And you might get a little heart rate bump out of that, sure. But you're going to have a long descent at 20, 25, 27 miles an hour where you can recover from that while you're going fast. That's racing your bike.
And what Ian just said and Carla just said, that right there is the biggest morale booster doing the race last year, because everyone is dropping like zombies at Hell Hill. I think it was me and one other person that continued on our bike. Everyone was off their bike.
Pushing it, walking.
Yeah, they couldn't get back and they couldn't get started back on their bike.
Right.
And so that, right, I mean, it sounds terrible, but it was like a morale booster. And then it felt really good to, like, do the descent and start passing people. So so definitely, yeah.
I can't wait to face this hill in real life and see
See
it in person.
Any final questions before we sign off here?
Between the two hills, I think it's Hell Hill and then that second one, based off the right GPS map, it seems like it's a very steady incline, right? Maybe like 1 or 2%. How, like, mentally, I feel like I'm going to be like in the dumps during that period because I'm going to be wanting to go fast. It's going to look flat, but I mean, does it feel pretty much flat, or is there?
Yeah, 1 to 2% is a false flat, and you can be an arrow and keep your cadence up and still ride. But I don't want you to judge it by how fast am I going. Don't judge it by what's my speed. Judge it by how hard it feels. And always be asking yourself, if I keep going like this for another 2 hours, for another hour, can I still run well off of this for a half marathon? And if you're uncertain at all, slow down. Slow down.
Got it.
Because the difference at riding like 1 mile an hour plus or minus on the bike course is nothing compared to walking 2 miles. Even walking fast at a 17-minute pace is really slow compared to what an easy run is. That's 14
Mhm.
minutes for a lot of people. And you're only going to lose a couple minutes on the bike. Err on the side of caution on the bike and run better. You won't believe the
Maybe
percentage of people walking at the end of this run.
maybe it would help people, since both my and you, Ian, have done this course.
Mhm.
How long, duration wise, are these hills?
Yeah, I think Hell Hill, if you're really going strong, is a 7-minute climb. And if you're really going easy, it's a 12-minute climb. I mean, that's not a very long time. It's really not. And it's weird when you look at the topography on a map because 1 and 2%, you don't really feel that on the bike. It's a little bit of drag, but it's no big deal. It needs to get up to 4% before you really start to feel it. And so that climb, while it's much longer, is so progressive and gradual that you'll ride the bottom couple of miles of it and not really think you're on a climb. You won't call it a climb.
Kind of like the bottom of Mandeville.
Bottom of Mandeville, you can roll that. You can still turn a big gear there. For sure. For sure. Eric, another workout we do a lot of with our athletes and certainly on Velocity, but for all of the LA Tri Club performance athletes is a tension ride. And that's where you're on a flat or a false flat, maybe into a headwind, but you're in a gear that's too big. So your cadence is down at 55 or 60 RPM, and you can feel the muscles working in every moment of the pedal circle. And maybe the first time you do it, you hold it for 3 minutes, you recover for three, and you do, say, 3 sets. But you can get to a place where you hold that for 7, 8 minutes, and you're getting really strong. And when you apply that strength now to a healthy, logical cadence of, I don't know, 75 to 95 RPM, like the bike really goes forward and you're not getting fatigued because you've built that strength through the tension ride. So give some thought to applying those in a few training sessions too. Part of the reason why Carla wanted to have our call so early is because we could affect what people were doing in preparation of their training. Usually we have this, 10, 12 days before the race. You're already approaching taper, you can't do much with it. But for us to have this conversation of some workouts that you need to get in before the race can be really helpful. That's sweet.
This is super helpful.
Good. Okay, I'm going to shut down the recording right here.